name's Tyranny McPherson, and I'm here today to tell you of a tale of friendship and brotherhood. The brotherhood and friendship of I, Tyranny McPherson, and my good friend, who I consider a brother, and don't you any motherfuckers tell me any fucking different, cause I'll rap you across the head. Now, my brother, you're Haji McFanahan. Today, I'm not only going to tell you about how we met, but of some of our adventures of our youth. I'm also going to sing you a song to kind of bring you up to speed. So here it goes. We'll stab ya in the face, then we'll hack ya in the shoulder, spreading the blood of the innocent across the bloomin' heather. Me and you, for Jay, were walking across the land and boulders, spraying the blood of our playmates all amongst the clover. And it's a funny tale, so I don't blame you for laughing harder. If I were to be killed, I would become a martyr. Now let me tell you quick about me and your Jay's adventures across the bloomin' heather fields of Scottish and Irish winters, because we travelled in both the countries, because in both we had brothers, and we slaughtered the innocent, and we raped their mothers. Oh, that's right. Hickey, 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 hickey. Now let me play me pipe, cause it's an ocarina of time, similar to Zelda, but they stole mine. That's right. Okay, so me and you, Jay, were playing one fine Scotland day. We were riding across the country, getting shit-faced in the hay. We drank a lot of apple wine that we stole from my mother, and we even kicked the shit out of your Fudgy's baby brother. Now this is where the tale starts, and I'll bring it out a song. But first, we'll have to pause it so I can take a hit from the bong. Tyranny McPherson here to continue my tales and tell you verbally about the beginnings of the friendship of me, Tyranny McPherson, and my good brother and close friend, Jay McFanahan. That's right. Now, I'm standing here against this tree because it reminds me of our orchards back home in Ireland. Like the orchard where me and Euphagy met. It was a fine Irish morning, and my father and my mother had sent me to the orchards to pick apples, because my mother was going to make some apple pie, and I have suspicions that my father was going to get shit-faced off of some apple wine. But that's only a suspicion, because he used to get shit-faced and beat the living shit out of me and Euphagy later on, and starting way back when I was about 3 is the first beating I remember. And of course my mother was always getting beaten whenever the apple wine was involved. But nonetheless, this isn't about beatings other than the beatings that me and Euphagy laid down on all the Irish countryside and all of our playmates, if you could call them that. Anyway, this here tree reminds me of the tree that I bashed Euphagy's face into the first day I met him. As it was, I was travelling across the heather, about to get some apples for my poor darling mother, and I walked into the orchard, and I was gathering up some apples. So I was gathering these apples into a basket, you see, that my mother had given to me, and I had about 15 of them in there, nice crispy apples. I'd eaten a couple of them and bitten into a worm in the second one, and swore all up and down, cursing fucking shit, fuck, kicking trees and whatnot. And I started kicking this tree, and I look up and I see this little cock-nosed bastard stealing our apples, and I said, oh, holy shit, well, if I don't spy me a good opportunity to lay down a beating in the name of the McPherson tribe. the McPherson clan of old that runs through these veins. And I said, you there lad, you thieving brigand, put down those fucking apples. Those belong to the McPherson orchard. Can't you tell? Or didn't you notice the fence that you crossed over, you thieving bastard? And he said, well, fuck you. I'm you, Fudgy McFanahan. And I'll take an apple from any damn orchard in the whole land of Ireland because the McFanahans were here before any blood-stained, cock-smoking McPhersons. And I'll tell that right to your face and to the face of your mother, and I'll spit on your grandfather's grave while I piss on his face. And I was like, oh, you bastard, that's some great storytelling and insulting you got there, but can your fist match up to your mouth, you son of a bitch? And so it's a funny tale, I tell you. In fact, he cracked a grin and he said, come over here and test my fist, motherfucker. And that's the first time I'd been called a motherfucker, and oh, my blood was boiling in the name of the McPhersons, and I felt my grandfather's spirit surge up from underneath the apple tree of where we buried him. And I was possessed with an evil hellfire, and I dashed toward Euphagy. In fact, I may have leaped the whole leap. In fact, that's what nearby, well, no one saw it, but it doesn't fucking matter. Euphagy. Anyway, I flew upon him like an unleashed tiger, and I was hitting him with uppercuts and boxing lessons like my father had given me. Wham, 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 just beating him unmerciful, just boxing his ears off. And the leprechauns were laughing up in the trees and throwing apples at him, because they were McPherson leprechauns, I tell you, and they're on Mayside, and the fairies were flying around sprinkling fairy dust on his head and fucking with his tickling his nose while I wrapped him upside the fucking skull. But little did I know I got a little carried away, and I had him on the ground. He was bleeding out of his nose, just blood flying like a fucking spigot. And I kept kicking him, and I was kicking his ribs, and about the third crack I heard, it wasn't his rib though, it was a cast little wooden ball he was carrying, and in it he had some crazy McFanahan fairy dust, and it burst open, and all these leprechauns and McPherson, McFanahan fucking fairies started chasing me around and rapping me upside the head, and I was all fairy dazed, and I was all lusting after these beautiful sensual fairies who were floating around me waving their little asses about. And I was like, holy shit, and all of a sudden, wham, it was a couple of fists inside my face, and he gave me the best beating I'd ever had. So afterward we were like, then we became brothers because we both beat the shit out of each other and insulted each other's mothers. And that was the way we became great friends and neighbours, because the Euphagy McFanahan orchard and the McPherson farms were neighbours. And so we went from there, roving the countryside and beating the living Christ out of every little piece of shit we could come across. And we ended up, first of all, we took all the apples, which he had got quite a share of, and I took all my apples and we mashed them up, and we made ourselves a good apple wine. And it took us a couple of days. We were up there for weeks drinking apple wine and beating the shit out of any of the travellers that were around. But then we ended up one night drinking all night, and we ended up down at the McDonald's pub, and we kicked the living shit out of about 20 people. And that was when we truly bonded in that brawl. And then we truly became brothers, bonded by the blood of McPherson and McFanahan neighbours. And we rolled, lassie rolled, across the blooming heather, spreading the blood of the innocent up into the windy weather. And eventually we ended up in the US, where we kicked the piss out of everybody just the same at the local bars and taverns around Eugene, Oregon. So if you're ever out in a bar or a tavern and you see a couple of Irish bastards, you best be counting your blessings that they don't whip your ass, because I'm Tyranny McPherson and my good friend and brother, Fudgy McFanahan, will kick the shit out of you sooner than any Irish bastard this side of Scotland. And I tell you what, this has been the tale of the brotherhood and the meeting of Yo Fajay McClanahan and Tyranny McPherson.